Good morning from Circuit World in Blue Ridge. I'm going to be your host today, Lauren Hunter, and I will be sitting in for BKP. Hate it that we can't be out this morning at Sycamore Crossing, but we're glad to be here. Mother Nature just decided that the weather wasn't going to be quite cooperative. But don't worry, everything is still going to be the same. We're going to have Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. Then we'll have the All-Star Political Panel with the same crew. We'll finish it off with North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton from Cameron Hall, and then round it out with our star of the show, the Pet of the Week. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with Dr. William Whaley for Ask the Doc.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
8 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Welcome back, everyone, and good morning. We are here at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. It is now time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. How are you doing this morning, Doc?
Great. I'm doing great, Lauren. And yourself?
I'm doing just fine. I can't complain. We want to thank Georgia Cancer Research Center affiliated with Northside Hospital for this segment. You ready for the first question, Dr. Wade?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
No. First of all, we got to talk about why we're here. As you said, weather got us here.
That's
you have to. What do you got to have, Josh? You got to have your rain report, right?
Yep.
So last week I told you that we were 1/100th of an inch below normal for the year. Everybody says it's rained so much. So where are we now, Josh? Are we above or below?
I'd say we're barely above.
We're below by 2 inches. So now, not that I hope it's going to rain 2 inches, because I got grandkids from New York coming in tonight. But so it's okay that we're here. And now the second thing is, what about the tie?
Yes, tell everybody.
Why am I not wearing my? Well, I was going to wear my flag tie, because this is the Apollo 50th anniversary, and they're going to land on the moon tomorrow, 50 years ago. But one of your expert panel members who's close to me, who believes we didn't land on the moon, I figured it'd be rubbing her nose in it if I wore my flag tie. So I'm not wearing my flag tie today. I'm wearing my gender acceptability tie. And why would I be doing that, Josh? Send her back. Okay. So, well, you can talk to the expert panel about send her back. And
I know about Cinder back.
Yeah, okay. So that's why I'm wearing this tie. I'm in deference to my president, who may have stepped on his you-know-what by being genderly inappropriate there on his tweet. So I'll shut up, and you can do that with the expert panel. Go. All right. We're ready to talk about. So we're going to talk about lung cancer today, right?
Breast cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Breast
Okay,
cancer,
go.
Yes. So our first question is, I survived breast cancer, but my treatment left my fingers and toes permanently numb. Is there anything I can do to reverse this, or that can be done about this?
All right. So it sounds like a pretty straightforward question, but it leaves out several important factors. One, did this patient not take chemotherapy? Doesn't say. Second, it doesn't say how long ago they ended the treatment if it contained chemotherapy. And then it gives it the time frame of it's permanent. Well, I mean, you don't know what's permanent until you get to the end, right? All right, so let's get that first. First, we're going to define it, all right? I know you love my pictures.
I do. I enjoy the pictures.
Okay, right. So first thing they got to do is they got to tell us how long out from chemotherapy they are. 6 weeks, 6 years. There's a huge difference in time. And secondly, did they or did they not really take chemotherapy, which they don't really say. And they indicate that it's still fingers and toes. So you're going to learn something here in just a minute. So
right.
This is you got that picture, that ugly looking foot up there? All right, so this is the thing you see on TV and the ads, where they show the guy walking on the glass, and they tell you, ask your doctor to give you a prescription for Lyrica or something like that. Interestingly enough, 107 million people in the United States have peripheral neuropathy. Now that is not, they haven't all had breast cancer, have they?
I would assume.
No, I would assume not. Okay, and they have not. They have not all had chemotherapy. So the incidence of peripheral neuropathy is high, and you have to separate out in every patient that's got it, how much of this is actually related to diabetes, nutrition, prior alcohol, age or something, and how much of it is related to treatment they may have received. Now, I'm not going to get into all the rest of this stuff, but if you get to the definition, you've got to have this burning, stinging thing lasting at least 20 minutes at a pop, and let's go up to the next one that's got that whole body on there. All right, so now, peripheral neuropathy, if it's chemotherapy related, generally is going to have other things that you're going to notice happen along with it. So if chemotherapy made your hair fall out, that's the top, made your fingernails turn brown, well, you know, that's more likely to have been related to chemotherapy.
Right.
If you have weakness or any sort of motor nerve damage, it's not really peripheral neuropathy. It's something else. And if you're having cramps in muscles and so forth, it's not peripheral neuropathy, it's something else. The last one says fasciculations. If your muscles are twitching and twitching, it's not peripheral neuropathy, it's something else. So, all right, let's go to that little one about the peripheral neuropathy causes, and then we'll get into some fun things here where people suddenly discover how complicated the issue really is. All right, this next one. Causes of peripheral neuropathy. As you go down through these things here, the drugs, chemotherapeutic drugs, are way down here at the bottom. You've got diabetes, renal disease, hypothyroidism, alcoholism, work-related exposure to heavy metals and so forth, and inflammatory diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and all that sort of stuff, and even vitamin deficiencies, which in our country are rare, before you get to chemotherapy. Now, taking all of that into account, we're going to then go put this back. So now that's peripheral neuropathy in the globe. We're going to take this back, and we're going to get that one that says the diagnostic criteria for it to be related to chemotherapy. First, you got to have a time-related feature of I gave chemotherapy, and then these symptoms began. Not I had symptoms that chemotherapy may have made worse.
Got it.
All right. Second, the distribution of the discomfort needs to be symmetrical, and it needs to be in the distribution of gloves or socks, not way up here and down here and skip areas. Okay, so it's going to start at the very end. It's going to work its way up. It's going to start in the hands first, because the distance that nerve runs is shorter than the distance this nerve runs down to your toes, right?
Right.
All right, this patient says it's still in fingers and toes. And generally when you stop chemotherapy is really given for 3 to 6 months. Stop the chemotherapy, then it sort of rapidly begins to get better, and then the hands get better before the feet get better. So anyway, so that we've come to a sort of a time frame. If I give you your first dose of chemotherapy today, you're not supposed to start getting peripheral neuropathy until you're out here where you've had 3, 4, 5, 6 or so months of chemotherapy before you begin to get the symptoms. All right. Now this last one's a 3-page long thing. People will never be able to see it all, but I put it up there just to show there are 3 pages of single-space typewritten characteristics of peripheral neuropathic findings with different chemotherapeutic drugs and diseases that risk from really kind of high. That's lung cancer treatment with the drugs cisplatin and carboplatin. That's not breast cancer. Down some of the drugs we use in colon cancer, that again is way up here. And the breast cancer drugs are kind of down the list. So we don't really think of this as being a big-time occurrence in breast cancer unless they are getting the drug Taxol.
Right.
Now, if they're getting the drug Taxol, they've got pretty much cancer, and you have to take the hazard-benefit ratio of giving them that drug and its chances that it's going to reverse the cancer versus the chances that they're going to have a little bit of numbness at the tips of their fingers and the tips of their toes. So we always measure the benefit versus the hazard of everything we give. All right?
Of course.
Now, there's a hazard to taking an aspirin, right? You can get a bellyache. If your headache's bad enough, you'll get in your car and drive to 7-Eleven and buy aspirin and take them and take the risk because the headache's so bad. So you've sort of made your own hazard benefit ratio judgment. So you're not going to get Taxol unless you've got locally advanced or recurrent cancer of the breast, and you need to pardon my French, kick you know what and take names to get rid of the malignancy. So you have to sort of look at this in hazard benefit ratio. Next, I'm going to show something. How do you define it? This is a cute little tool here. What you're seeing there is kind of like it's called a monofilament. Just imagine you've got a sort of a stiff piece of fishing cord or a stiff piece of plastic that you've got at the end of an instrument, and then you take that thing and you push it on the bottom of the toe or the bottom of the finger, and you see how much it bends. Then you know the more it bends, the more pressure you got on it, and that is when do you feel this thing actually touch you, okay? Now you're going to close. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take your hands and turn them upside down like this on your, just like that. Now, so I want you to imagine I've got myself a feather here. Okay. And I walk up and I say, if I touch you, you tell me where I touched you, okay?
Okay. On the tips of my fingers. On, like, the top.
Okay, right. So, I mean, that's sort of a rough approximation of what we do.
Right.
Back in the day, before we had the modern types of chemotherapy, your mama's too young to remember that the first real set of chemotherapeutic drugs that we used for cancer were Hodgkin's disease. And one of the crucial drugs in that recipe that was necessary to cure you of Hodgkin's disease, which had a 100% fatality rate, was a drug called vincristine. And that drug, we used to measure the degree of peripheral neuropathy with vincristine by having you take a piece of paper and hold it between your third and fourth fingers like that. Now, if it fell to the ground like that, you know, as you could not hold it between those two fingers, then you were beginning to get peripheral neuropathy. By today's standards, we never have any peripheral neuropathy that gets to the point where you have motor weakness. As I said earlier, it's just it's all sensory stuff. So the degree of peripheral neuropathy that we're having with our chemotherapy today is like way down here, and people are complaining about it when it used to be way up there, and they were real grateful for it because it was curing their disease. Are you with me a little bit? Yes. All right. So here's what I ask my patients. Were you able to button your shirt, zip up your clothing? Can you cut your meat and eat? Then that's the hands, okay?
Right, the fine motor.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that, yes, you've got peripheral neuropathy. Your hands are numb, and it will most likely get better. Now, the question said this is permanent. Well, what it means is from the time I ended my treatment, I've still got it.
Right.
Well, that we didn't get is that 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, so generally by 2 years, this has disappeared to the point where they might have a little bit of numbness in the toes. I have a few patients who have had to have repeated treatments for gastrointestinal cancer over years using the drug oxaliplatin, which has saved their lives because it's been in their liver and their lung. And they have been off treatment for 2 or 3 years, and they say, Doc, my feet still hurt, but I'm still working as a lumberjack. I mean, my feet hurt. So that's sort of the idea. You know, some things you're going to have to learn to live with.
That risk benefits ratio.
Yeah, hazard benefit ratio. Okay, now what can we do for it? And unfortunately, there's not one thing in this world that's ever been proven to prevent it. So there's not anything we can do before we start the treatment that will make it not occur. As I mentioned way back, vitamin deficiencies. So whey can be cause peripheral neuropathy unrelated to chemotherapy.
Right.
So way back when we were talking about vincristine chemotherapy, none of these drugs that I'm getting ready to talk about existed. So we gave people vitamin B6, pyridoxine, in a dose that would be as high as this roof. When you go down to the drugstore to buy a supplement, it would be down in there. I mean, a big dose of vitamin B6.
Wow.
And we gave it with great enthusiasm. Now, I'm not convinced it really helped much, but we still do it. So we give people vitamin B6, and we tell them vitamin B6 cannot hurt you. You can't get too much vitamin B6, and it may help you. So if you look at this last one, let me have the one that says treatment. Interestingly enough, we've talked about almost everything that we've ever had before in here. Muscle contraction, tension, headaches, inflammatory bowel disease. So now we're going to talk about peripheral neuropathy. And the very first thing you've got on there is...
Antidepressants.
I be doggone.
I was trying to say the first word. I
Well,
was like,
well, you don't need to have that one. You just need antidepressants. Now,
yes.
we treat headaches with that, right?
Right.
We treat chronic pain of any sort with that. We treat gastrointestinal complaints with that. So antidepressants of all types. The next 4 lines there are just different types of antidepressants. Well,
Okay.
all right, now the next one is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, NSAIDs. You remember that? So before anybody talks about narcotics, there they are, back on the Advil and the Motrin and whatever those other things are cost. And then some of the fancier medications that work in a vitamin way. And lastly, you get into this class of drugs that we know now because kids like to take them and steal them from their parents, where they have been given anticonvulsant type drugs, Neurontin. A lot of people get because they have chronic headache or whatever, and then the kids like to take them out of their mama's medicine cabinet and sneak a couple of those. So we have a bunch of things we can do in terms of medication. None of the medication is like taking 2 aspirin and your headache goes away, your fever goes away. And the best treatment I tell people is tincture of time. Keep tearing pages off the calendar. Be as active as you can. Avoid pain medicine as much as you can. Take some pain medicine if you need it. But the number of people who need pain medicine is very, 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 very small. So I would tell the person who asked this question, if you had a breast cancer bad enough to require Taxol, which would have been the drug that gave you some peripheral neuropathy, then your cancer had a high risk of recurrence, and the fact that it hasn't recurred is a small price to pay for peripheral neuropathy. Or it had recurred, and if you're still alive to answer the question, then the drug did what was asked of it. And lastly, can you make anything to do it better? I said, yeah, keep tearing pages off the calendar and then let your doctor give you one of those drugs if he thinks that it might help you. All right, got that?
You got it. Thank you for the explanation, Dr. Whaley. A lot of stuff there, and it's, when you explain it, it just sounds so simple. And I'm like, okay, I'm not, when it came time for me to choose a career path, I told my parents, I said, well, doctor is off the table. But I enjoy this segment because you explain this stuff. So
well, funny enough, my wife says when you ask me what time it is, I tell you how to build a watch. And she's not saying that as a compliment. So anyway, go ahead.
All right. Well, don't forget, everyone, if you have a question for the doc, send it into info@fetchyournews.com and put it in the subject line, Ask the Doc. Again, we want to thank Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital, for this segment. Are you ready for the second question?
Sure enough. This is good. This is going to remind you of your grandmother. Maybe at your age, it'll be your great-grandmother. So go ahead. This is going to be a good question.
All right. Our second question today is, are skin tags harmful? Skin tags are a common condition, but what do they mean for your health?
Well, for your health, they really don't mean a thing. But for your quality of life, I guess, and you would be a great example of this, much better than BKP.
Oh my.
Because skin tags can grow anywhere. So we're going to pull up that first one. Where do skin tags grow? Well, skin tags, if they grow underneath your arms, right, or on your torso somewhere underneath that thing, you might be seeing them. But what if it's on your eyelids? What if it's on your neck?
Right.
What if it's on your face? All right, now that's not adverse to your health, is it? But it's adverse to the way you look
Right.
and the way people perceive you. And I've got some ugly pictures. I'm not going to show any ugly pictures. I'm just going to show a relatively common type of skin tag. Now,
Oh my.
that's a skin tag. It
But
kind
it's
of
really, really zoomed in.
yeah, it's zoomed in.
Okay.
It's zoomed in, but this skin tag's probably about that big.
Got it.
All right, now that can be here on you. Could be underneath it wouldn't very likely be up on the face. It would be underneath your chin, but that ain't going to look good as you get ready to come do your TV program, is it?
Right. No, it's not.
All right, so it's not harmful in the least. Now, there are some type of skin tags called neurofibromas that can be associated with an internal disease, neurofibromatosis, and that can be associated with seizures and stuff, but it's kind of easy for a physician to tell the difference. So now you got that ugly thing on you. So since I said this is a good question, it's going to make you think of your grandmother, quite obviously, if you do not have any economic disincentive, right? If you don't live on the dark side of the moon and you got that thing on there and it's ugly, you're going to go to the doctor, right?
Right,
You're going to
right.
go see your family doc who can take care of this, or if it's up there on your face, they might send you to the dermatologist. So now we're going to talk about what this kind of like what the question opens up for us is. BKP and many on your expert panel, I just saw some come in, like what they call
Natural remedies.
got the natural remedies up there. All right, so now here on the left-hand side is kind of one of the ugly ones. Like, matter of fact, it looks exactly like the one we just got through with.
Yes, it
All
does.
right, okay. Now this says this one would usually be on the neck, armpits, underarms, around the eyes, breasts, or groins. All right. Now here are 7 natural ingredients that are proven to help eliminate skin tags. And you got garlic and aspirin and other stuff. So
some
this is
household
natural stuff. But the way that works is it takes a long time.
Really?
Yeah, you put the stuff on there day after day after day after day, and you cover it with a Band-Aid, and then it begins to macerate, and then it gets down there and it sort of falls off. But it probably leaves the bottom down here, turns right back around, and regrows.
Oh no.
But my first bit of advice is go back to your family doc, the dermatologist, let them take it off. Or if you want to do something else, you can go to your pharmacist and say, what do you have that applied to this skin tag would make it go away? And you know they got all sorts of wart remover, don't they?
Right,
Okay,
yes.
and they've got this acne stuff all the women put on the face all the time. What was that called? Retin-A. You know, everybody your age and older goes and gets Retin-A in a compound, puts it on there. That's supposed to keep them getting wrinkles. So there are over-the-counter preparations that have been marketed in the last decade or two that have irritants in them, generally that's supposed to make your wrinkles go away, that your pharmacist could give you to rub on there. Then once again, you'd have to rub it on there for weeks before it would go away. So that's sort of, it's not going to cost me a doctor visit. But this is in deference to your grandmother now. Put the next one up, because this is the way when I was a kid that all skin tags were treated.
Oh my, that looks.
Now, what are they doing there?
It looks like they're tying a string around it, and they're.
That is a piece of fishing cord that your grandmother ties around the skin tag and pulls tight. Okay?
Okay.
And Amara, she pulls it a little tighter.
That sounds so.
No, it's not. It's really painless. And tomorrow she pulls it a little tighter. And so you go to visit your grandmother for the week, and you've got 8 skin tags on you, and you come home and you got no skin tags on you, and you haven't been to the plastic surgeon, you haven't been to the doctor, and nobody's injected you with Novocaine and snipped it off with a pair of snippers and then put something on there to make a blood clot. Grandmama got it with a piece of string. So, I don't know who wrote the question, But at the end of the day, the answer to the question is skin tags are not harmful to your health. They are very disconcerting when they are in a location that causes you to have embarrassment because of where they are.
Right.
They're very easy to be removed by your family practitioner or a dermatologist or whatever under most circumstances. But just to get to the fun thing in the mountains, there are less than medical ways to do it, and grandmother's old way with a string is if it is. It has to have skin tag. Then has to have a sort of a bulbous thing to it, and if it comes straight out like a mountain, your skin tag will work. But the other things that make it go away are better. Okay.
So in another way, just go see Grandma.
Go see Grandma.
Go see Grandma. Grandma
As a matter of
does.
fact,
Grandma will take care
as
of
a
it.
matter of fact, your expert panel is going to be absent a member today, who's on the way to the airport to pick up the grandkids.
Is she?
Who are coming up here to be with Grandma. How about that?
Oh, great.
But I hope
great.
they don't bring any skin tags with them. So.
I hope not either.
All right, go ahead.
Or else we know what she'll be doing, right? All right. Well, this time, Dr. Whaley, you always like to share with us some news that's going on in the medical world. So what do you have for us today?
All right. Well, I punched off the top few of them, and I brought this up first last week before it got to the big news. But it got to the big news a couple of days ago, and that is that we have had rapidly rising drug overdose deaths in this country for the last 5 to 7 years. The drug that we have, I think, Rick, did you fund getting the narcotic Narcan available for all the first responders? Were you one of the people that?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, Narcan now is the. Huh?
He uses it all the time.
He uses it all the time. Well, Narcan, the reverse a drug overdose drug that we used to have in the emergency room, and physicians, when we had black bags, we carried in our black bag, is now available to everybody in the general public.
Okay.
And so when you have a family member who has a narcotic issue and gets arrested by the police for buying or selling or whatever, that's a stimulus now where social workers and stuff tell you to go get yourself a dose of Narcan to keep at home. So if your husband or son or somebody overdoses, you can whack him with it at home and save their life.
Oh my goodness.
On the front page of today's business section, it announces that Delta Airlines is now going to have Narcan on their planes in the first aid kit so that flight attendants can use it in flight. Now, you don't usually think much about people having drug overdoses on their way home to see their mother or going on vacation.
That's what I was just thinking.
Well, there are dozens of those every year. People have died on there, and there have been 2 recent ones, not important what airlines, where there were EMTs or first responders on the plane. They were able to breathe for the patient until they could get the plane to the ground, and then EMTs ran on the plane and gave them Narcan. So anyway, the number one thing in the medical news today is overdose deaths fall for the first time in decades, and that's
good news.
That's good news. And so part of it is how strict it's gotten now on writing narcotic prescriptions. I mean, you can't get a narcotic prescription now without getting your thumbprint and a pint of blood taken and everything else. And the other is the wide availability of the Narcan. Now, this I hate to do this, but just every week there's something else. So if you just look at these, if you look at the next 2, this one is an E. coli outbreak due to ground bison. So that's the buffalo burger. You know, everybody's all get the buffalo burger. Huge out. And this, every nut and berry eater I know who wears macrame and sandals and natural foods and all that stuff eats this stuff. What's that stuff called? Now, all right. I'm just saying. All right. I'm not trying to. I can't eat it. I can eat it. But those grandkids that are on the way to Atlanta right now live in Manhattan,
So they love
and
that
they're
hummus.
they're big time yuppies, and they got hummus, and they bring it up with
the veggie sticks and eat.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, veggie sticks and stuff. When they bring it out for Granddaddy, when we're at the beach or something, they bring me some tortilla chips to eat it with. So at least it's a little bit like you were eating salsa with something. But anyhow, so these two products that you would think about sort of in the healthy industry, you would think about the Buffalo Burger as being more meat, less fat.
Right.
You think about the hummus, I'm not going to eat the guacamole and chips. I'm going to have hummus with the carrot. So these two things that are supposed to be healthy are contaminated. The hummus has got listeria in it, and then the bison has got E. coli in it. And it always makes me feel good to be able to laugh at the folks who are trying to tell us burger eaters how to live, and you're trying to hurt yourself. So I think that's enough news for the day.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and flu season's going to start soon, and last year's vaccine, the expert panel told me, it's only 28% effective. I said, well, if you save 28 lives for every 100 people who get it, that's fine. But they tell me that this new flu vaccine, of course they told me this last year, it didn't turn out to be true, is going to be much more effective. So you'll hear that beginning in August, and this is mid-July. So we'll start
It's gonna be real soon.
We'll start hyping the flu vaccine pretty soon.
Well, good deal. Always glad to hear that there's something better to fight against the flu. So thank you, Dr. Whaley. Thank you for being here. Of course, everyone, you can share our Ask the Doc segments on our YouTube page. It is Fetch Your News FYN TV, and look for the playlist Ask the Doc. This segment is brought to you by Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital. Dr. Whaley?
We did it.
Good to have you.
We did it in the rain, right?
That's right. We braved the storm, and we came out, and we had the...
And we need 2 inches of rain to catch up.
There
All
we
right,
go.
Lauren.
Well,
Thank you
maybe
very
we'll
much.
get it.
And I hope, BKP, that things are going well for you and your family, and we miss you.
Yes, we do. BKP will be back next week, though, so don't y'all worry.
All right.
But when we return, it will be time for the All-Star Political Panel, so don't go anywhere. Good things are coming.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ella, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Welcome back, everyone. It is time for the All-Star Political Panel. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, and I have Dr. Whaley still here with us. He's going to be sticking around for a little bit. And then, of course, we have Bruce and Rick. So, Rick, go ahead and start us off. What have you been waiting all week to talk about?
We did a little audible at the line this morning, okay? We had a little juggle in the lineup, so...
Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha. So we've got a few minutes to tap into our resident brainiac over here, and
Dr. William Williams.
Yeah, I didn't know this was going to happen, but as it happens,
send her back.
I pulled, yeah,
Oh my gosh,
exactly.
let's not.
Oh, let's not go there. I pulled a few pieces off the internet that are relevant these days, and I thought Doc's got 15 minutes, and he said he could stay with us till Richie joins us. Jane couldn't make it this morning. She's got to head to Atlanta, and she had some cooking to do, I guess.
She's picking up the grandkids.
Taking a break, yeah. Anyway.
She's bringing them home.
A statement was made by AOC. Nobody is heartbroken at the prospect of losing private health insurance.
Rubbish.
How in your years of practice would you evaluate that statement vis-a-vis where we are today with health care?
Who is that made that statement?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And who is she?
She's a
I love it.
Well, that's
representative
I'm not an expert.
from a district in New York
I
City.
see. Okay,
One of
well,
the- one of
all
the
right. So
boroughs.
she's not a physician. She's not an insurance company executive.
Exactly.
All right. So
She's a politician.
yes, she is.
So she knows
politician.
everything, right?
It is my firm belief that the majority of American citizens believe that they are responsible for their own happiness and responsible for their own health care, and they're responsible for their own automobiles and their pickup trucks, and that they will choose the type of vehicle that they want based upon their expectations of what they want out of transportation, and choose a big car or a little car, and that most people will want to participate in their own health care maintenance in a preventative fashion by joining in a health club or eating that junk we were talking about
The
there.
hummus and the ground bison.
Or they will ignore it by drinking more than they should and by smoking, and that they want to have skin in the game. Then when it comes to choosing the degree of health care that they get, they would like to have some control over who they see, whether they see a man or a woman, or whether an old or a young, and what hospitals they go to, and so forth, and that the only mechanism by which that really works is you either write a check for it out of your pocket, like when you wreck your car, you go and you pay the guy to fix it, or you get State Farm or somebody to sell you some insurance so that if you bang up your car, they'll help you pay for it. And I think most of us in this culture expect that we will insure ourselves in some fashion against catastrophe at our house, catastrophe with our car, catastrophe with our health, and that we are married to the idea that we're responsible for it, and we would be very, very upset to lose the ability to have that choice and to have our own insurance.
Well, we've gone through one round already with the former administration saying if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Now, Biden is back on the trail saying the same thing. Is this deja vu all over again? I mean, you know, all the socialist candidates, and there are many, they're all pushing for Medicare for all, Medicaid for all. You know, we're offering free health care to illegals, and some of the people...
And they're taking it.
And they're taking it in certain age groups. So is it about control? I don't see any...
I think it's totally unrealistic to believe that you can reach a funding mechanism that if there is any freedom of choice on the half of the provider, would say that provider will be available to every funding mechanism, because if you just look, the provider has to sign up for it and agree to take it. And we know that we've got sports medicine docs and plastic surgeons and everything else that don't take Medicare and they don't take insurance. You got to pay for it. And so it will not happen that under a plan of this sort that you will be able to keep your doctor. The other part is that you can't afford it. Now, if they had come down, and I don't believe in, I don't believe, I won't use the word socialism. As I began this whole thing, when you asked me, I believe everybody should have skin in the game. And if, as we today, there may be a percentage there, but I believe a percentage of our GNP, this health care, is above 10. It used to be in the 6s and 7s. It might even be 12. If you had a tax on everybody, including that 50% that don't pay income tax at all, for health care, that amounted to, say, 3% of what they made, that's not much. So if they're on the poverty line, take their 3%, which is next to nothing, and provide them the same degree of medical care you provide to me or the President of the United States, and tax me and tax the other folks up there at the same percent, you could eliminate the infrastructure. And then you could supply medical care to everybody. But if you don't have skin in the game, then you're not a good consumer of what you're trying to buy.
But you can almost bet your bottom dollar that politicians will not.
Oh no, of course not.
3% tax on people right around the poverty line.
No, they won't.
Right.
Yeah,
Of course not.
I mean, they just won't touch
No, they
it.
can't. But here's what happened in Georgia years ago. Back when they made a feature of welfare, an obligation to work. Now you remember this is workfare. And that was in Georgia, and I was here at the time. Then if you were healthy, I mean the blind, the lame, the old, young. I mean, I'd give them take care of them. Yeah. But if you were 25 years old and in good health and you were on welfare, they put you to work, and they put you to work all over the state of Georgia. The number of people on the health care roll, on the welfare rolls went down like that. When they used to have a copay of 50 cents for a prescription under Medicaid and $2 for an office visit to see the doctor under Medicaid. The Medicaid consumption of health care in the emergency room and everywhere else fell by a huge number because the Medicaid people were using the emergency room as a doctor, and it was free, and usually when they went in there they'd get a Coke and a cookie while they waited. But once they started charging them $2 to go to the ER or 50 cents to go get a prescription, the demand fell down. A tiny amount of skin in the game will make the person a more educated consumer.
So then this begs the question that all of the a lot of the politicians are saying, if you have skin in the game, then health care, unlike what Bernie is saying, is not a right, it's a privilege.
Yes, it's a privilege. I'm old, and I have read the Constitution of the United States. I've read the
present company excluded.
I read the Constitution of the United States, and nowhere do I find under
inalienable rights.
Inalienable rights that to health care. It's not in there.
Right.
No.
Can you, just switching gears a little bit, but I mean the healthcare system now with private insurance and government and all this, how has it gotten so, kind of inflated that, someone comes and sees you and you send the insurance company a bill for $6,000. Then you get the statement back, insurance will pay $130 and Medicare will pay this, and there's this huge gap.
Yes.
How did it ever get like that?
It was.
Okay.
I used to be in the durable medical equipment business. In order for you to get this nickel, you had to submit that quarter, and hopefully they're going to pay 3 cents. They're allowable.
This all began with Medicare.
Exactly.
In the 1960s, where they set what was called the usual and customary charge for a geography. So the EKG in Macon, Georgia, would have been $15, and the EKG in Manhattan on Park Avenue would have been $35.
Okay.
So the usual and customary was a geographical number that had to do with what people charged in their office and were paid by cash.
Mm-hmm.
And then Medicare generally approved 80% of usual and customary.
Okay.
And you were expected to pay the other 20. Well, as soon as that usual and customary became the benchmark upon which the 80% was set, then if they're getting $35 in Manhattan, they make an EKG went to $35 immediately, because what the guy in Manhattan was getting paid 80% of $35. The guy in Macon was getting paid 85% of $15. He had the same machine and the same paper and everything else, and that wasn't fair, so to speak. So that the physician, hospital, drug company, DME company, and everybody else, when they began taking these geographic imbalances out of it, drove that number up. And the idea, I had a hip replacement here about 3 months ago. If you look at the bill, I mean, you'd think I'd bought a fighter plane to go to
you got the new F-35.
Yeah, and the poor guy gets paid $700 or something for the hip replacement. Back in the early days of Medicare, when most surgeons didn't take Medicare at all, I can remember Slocum Howland, that very famous guy's family's very famous. Slocum said, one of these days Medicare is going to be your best payer. Everybody laughed at him. And none of the orthopedists took Medicare or Medicaid. On a volume basis, they really didn't have to. They've been driven to it later on. But a hip replacement was $8 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Cataract extraction was $1,400. Well, cataract extraction now, the guy gets $180. And a hip replacement's down below $600, $700. It used to be $6,000 or $7,000 back when a dollar was worth a lot more than it is today. And they by continually raising the price and lowering what they pay you, that's created that huge disparity.
That approach worked for Medicare? Have they really?
No, of course not. Oh, Medicare caps everything. Yeah, Medicare.
But they're still losing money.
Yeah, yes, but it costs. If you have a private physician that sees you in his office for a blood pressure check or something, he's getting paid about $28, in all sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
And the bill that he's sending is his standard bill. It's going to be for $90 or $100 for a brief office visit.
Yeah.
The greatest neurologist that I know, I think I told you once before, walked out of his office and dropped his keys at noon one day and said, I quit. He was the neurologist that the National Football League used for 100% of their chronic brain injury patients, regardless of where they lived. And they sent those to this specific neurologist in Atlanta to be seen to say, yes, they've got it, no, they don't. So they had worldwide reputation. He would not see a new patient unless he could book 1 hour and 20 minutes to see them.
Mm-hmm.
His overhead was $450 an hour, and Medicare paid him $125 for a new patient visit. Well, when you have a gimmick like a gastroenterologist who can do a colonoscopy or a cardiologist who can cath you, he can afford to take a $125 visit for $125 for the new patient visit when his overhead's $450 for that hour, because when you get finished, you're going to go over to the hospital and he's going to cardiac cath you or do a gastro and a colon. But a neurologist didn't have a gimmick. So if he did not have an EMG machine...
Gimmick.
What's a gimmick? It's exactly that. If he did not have an EMG machine... If he did not have an EMG machine... In fact, they did have EMG machines. When they had the EMG machines, they could afford to do this. Well, 2 years before this happened, Medicare took the EMG machine out of the neurology armamentarium and placed it in the hospital as a hospital
gimmick,
study, as a hospital gimmick. So almost all big neurology practices have broken up. Nobody is being trained in neurology anymore. Neurology is an extremely complicated specialty, and without any gimmick, they can't make a living. And so all of them are going to be working for HMOs or going to be working for the VA or something like that. And there are none that are really of high quality going into private practice anymore. Now, some that are still there.
Doesn't Medicare and the AMA know this? I mean, don't they read the tea leaves? And
Now,
see
you
what's going on?
used AMA. AMA represents 21% of doctors. 79% of doctors are not in the AMA.
Yeah, they're almost irrelevant.
Yeah, they are
Is
irrelevant.
there any group that does represent a larger?
Most, well, the specialty groups do. The American Society of Clinical Oncology, the American Society of Cardiology. So they are, and the American Academy of Family Practice, American Society of Internal Medicine. So physicians have unionized, so to speak, or joined their affinity groups, and those affinity groups have congressional power. But the AMA as a group as a whole has essentially no power today.
I'm going to jump in as your scheduler right now, okay?
Maybe we need to. Can you sell some ad time now for a minute? All right.
We appreciate you staying with
Yes,
us today.
thank you, Dr. Ray.
I think what we covered this morning is extremely
Good.
relevant to everybody watching.
Well, I hope so.
So, we'd love to do a full segment with you one day when next time BKP goes out of town and Bruce and I get charged to do the show, we'll do the 8 to 9 hour with you.
I'll tell you who is really good at this is Ray Tidman. Ray Tidman is a rocket scientist.
And he's got good jokes.
Yeah. He was an aeronautical engineer, rocket scientist before he became an MD, and he'll be here a couple of weeks while I'm on vacation the next few weeks. Yeah,
Wow.
And I tell you, you get him in here, and you got a smart man.
Be easy on those rooskies, okay?
That's crazy. All right, guys. Well, we will be right back. Dr. Whaley is going to step out. Thank you, Doctor, again for being here with us for your segment and then for sticking around for the All-Star Political Panel for a minute. And we'll be right back to continue the All-Star Political Panel right here.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
8 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Good morning and welcome back, everyone. You are watching the All-Star Political Panel, and we have Richie joining us now. How are you doing, Richie?
Good to be here.
Good to have you. All right, when I said when we came back, Bruce, I was going to ask you what you had today.
All right, I'd like to get into a little bit of gun control.
Gun control, all right.
Oh,
wow.
And all the good stuff associated there.
Load up.
2 hands, that's how you control them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, anyway, yesterday on the show Rick and I did, I talked about this lady from Minnesota who's a writer on conservative sites, Alyssa Algren, and she did something back in June on the top 3 arguments for gun control debunked. She was responding to an article by a Jill Silos Rooney, the top 3 arguments for gun control. Now, she earned, this Miss Rooney earned her PhD in history and is an assistant professor at Mass Bay College, Community College, wherever that is.
To give you some idea.
So she knows everything about guns,
she opened
right?
up with a story about a 9-year-old girl who accidentally shot her gun instructor with a Uzi.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some, I remember this at the time, you know, that how it happened and all that, but anyway, she used that as the linchpin of this whole argument, and then she went on to talk about 3 things, so just throw them out. The first argument, gun control saves lives. The second argument, you do not have a right to own any gun you want, and few guns mean fewer gun crimes, period. So I know Rick has a lot to say about this, so gun control saves lives.
So the second point, she said you do not have a right to own any gun that you want. What did she use for that argument? What did she use as her evidence?
She went back into Supreme Court rulings, McDonald versus Chicago in 2010, that while private citizens can own weapons, they're also subject to restrictions on those weapons. So this Alyssa says, I'm a little confused by that because it was viewed as a victory for gun rights advocates. So I think they were talking about, or what the writer was trying to say was that when the people having guns for militias, back when it was first written, these were long guns and things like that. But now everyone's got semi-automatic pistols and semi-automatic long guns and all that sort of thing. So I think that's what she was trying to say. That it was a different time. So.
Well, that's pretty much every gun control activist argument, that it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
As though the American Constitution is not relevant anymore.
We have talked on this show several times about the biggest problem that I see in this whole argument structure is that the majority of the people that are talking about banning weapons, they do not understand the weapons.
Not a clue.
They don't understand how they work. They don't understand what they're used for, and they keep equating this AR assault type rifle, how it works. It's
military assault weapon.
It's a military assault weapon. We shouldn't be using military weapons to hunt deer.
Yeah.
If they would only understand, take some time, people, and understand that a semi-automatic weapon, regardless of what it looks like, requires a trigger pull every time you pull one into the breech and fire the weapon.
Well, that's my favorite line when they say, we don't need weapons of war on the street.
Who's carrying a weapon of war on the street?
Yeah, followed up immediately by, who uses an AR-15 for hunting?
Right.
A lot of people do.
Well, yeah, I mean, some do.
I can tell you, a lot of people do.
For hog hunting.
But,
yeah, exactly.
But to the other extreme, though, go ask somebody in Kunar province fighting if they want an AR-15. They'll tell you, well, no, that is not a weapon of war. That's not nearly as efficient as my machine gun.
As an M1.
Right.
Yeah.
M16.
An M16, rather, yeah.
Yeah, so there is a lot of miseducation, misinformation that goes on with it.
And no one before that, no one reviews that stuff before it's spewed in the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. They come out with, these are weapons of war. They fire multiple numbers of rounds per minute.
Right.
Do the homework, people.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another thing is a point that was made about, the gun laws save lives and make communities safer. What would you say gun ownership is up here in North Georgia?
Oh my goodness.
80?
I would
85%?
I would say what is multiple gun ownership?
Exactly.
Is the better question, multiple gun ownership.
And what's the violent crime rate here? Virtually zero?
0 to none.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
very
You know,
extremely rare.
You have a mostly a domestic.
Right.
It's the only time you hear possibly a domestic or an accident.
Right, and no one. You hear in the cities, you know, we all watch, you know, whether it be the Atlanta news or you know, big city news, if you will.
The Fox Storm team.
Right, right. You hear of like a home invasion or something, and in communities like this where gun ownership is so high, no one's running up in a house if they think that someone's going to shoot back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a
virtually
deterrent.
Everyone who's got a cabin up here has got, you know, a shotgun, a 22,
Right.
you know, long gun, and probably a slew of.
And it's so hard. And it's so hard to quantify. You know, it's easy to say guns are bad by taking crime statistics, but there's no way to quantify how many crimes are prevented just by the thought that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. You can't count something that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
There was a radio talk show host that's since retired that was from Atlanta, Neil Bortz. You've probably
One of my favorites.
All heard.
Talkmaster.
Yeah, the Talkmaster. He was great. He would celebrate. He would celebrate when a thug was taken out by a good guy, and he would say, "We got another DRT." Dead right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And he would celebrate that on his radio show.
Yeah, no need to spend our tax dollars locking them up now, and
Exactly.
then it would turn into a fair tax.
Yeah.
Well, the professor on that second argument, you do not have the right to own any gun. She went on at the end of her segment there to say that since we have regulations on the purchase of alcohol and cold medication, it means we can also have regulations on guns. So Alyssa responded to that. Well, alcohol and cold medication are not constitutional rights. They're
Exactly.
privileges. Let's go on. So,
You know, where did
So
you say that
frustrating.
first lawsuit was? Something versus Chicago?
yeah, McDonald.
Yeah.
McDonald versus Chicago 2010.
Yeah, check your crime rate in Chicago, folks.
Yeah,
And see
yeah.
see how many people were shot and killed.
Now, was that before or after Heller? I think Heller might have been like 08
She
or
mentioned
something.
Heller here somewhere.
Scalia's
Heller was
masterpiece. That's kind of off in
The
the
rule was
weeds, but
preceded by Columbia versus Heller.
right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing with the court also is how they've kind of gone both ways on it. That you know they allow the Federalist argument of states being able to restrict, but I think Heller especially really affirmed the right Second Amendment rights for Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at, like as Rick was saying, I mean, major cities, New York, L.A., Chicago, typically
Detroit.
have some of the strictest gun control laws on the books.
Exactly.
Basically all Democratic
Controlled.
for
Oh,
decades.
without a doubt.
And what do you got? Some of the highest murder rates.
Now California has gone to the fact where you have to buy ammo, to buy bullets,
Yes.
to buy shotgun shells. You have to go through the same background check
That's ridiculous.
as buying a weapon.
And it almost makes you wonder if it's not about creating a black market and creating
Exactly.
corruption, because that's my biggest argument to gun control advocates. Okay, so pie in the sky here, you ban all guns. Now, what now? What do you?
I think they're not going to be able to ban all guns because there's something like, 250 million guns out there, they estimate?
Yeah.
And
it's
then
absurd.
they use the argument that, well, Australia did it. Well, guess what? Australia
Yeah.
is surrounded by water.
Yeah, apples and bowling balls.
Exactly. Apples and bowling balls is a good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they always talk about the Australian thing. She talks a little bit about it in there that like they had this, turn in your guns and all that. They said less than a third of the people turned them in. So 2/3 of them still have it. And they said the murder statistics out of Australia were very small to begin with.
Right.
And they went down by 59% or something like that. So it's a small number to start with, small percentage drop.
I don't know if you've ever seen this thing that went around on the internet. Doc Whaley sent it to us, I think. It's about this guy's complaining that he has a lazy gun. He said, I took my 1911, my 45, my Colt 45, and set it on the counter, and by God, it won't do anything. It won't get up. It won't
I've seen
shoot
those
anybody.
videos, yeah.
And it was
The whole day, just sat there.
Yeah,
didn't
the
do a
whole
thing.
sat there, didn't do anything. I got the laziest gun on the
I
block.
saw one where the guy puts it down and he's yelling at it. He's like, "Get up, shoot somebody, do it!" And it just sits there.
Protect me.
I think ultimately it's a cop out for failed policies that make people want to create crime, mass murder or violent crime or crimes of opportunity in poor places that are run by Democrats.
I think
that's what it ultimately
I think
is.
you could apply that logic to a whole bunch of things.
Absolutely.
Not just guns.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden these policies go in because of other failed policies or because of them not being able to recognize.
Something happens, and politicians have a natural urge to do something.
Yeah.
We have to do something.
Yeah.
We have to
Government
regulate
has
law.
to step
We
in.
have to
Government's
get,
the
more
solution.
regulations. We have to do something so this doesn't happen again.
Every time that there's a shooting around the country that makes national headlines. It's like, okay, the bookmakers are out there going, okay, when is the first volley gonna come across the bow about banning all guns now?
Yeah.
Banning all AR type weapons.
Yeah. Military stuff.
And they whip people. They whip people into such a frenzy too.
Right.
Remember in Florida when they put the NRA spokeswoman?
Oh my goodness, Dana Loach.
Yeah.
With that pinko
I think
commie.
Rubio was there.
With that pinko commie that used to be the sheriff.
Oh God! I mean,
what was his name?
Israel. He's gone now.
He is gone.
And when you think about that whole thing, the way that was, it was like a WWF type.
Yeah, it was like
arena.
a cage match.
Oh yeah, and
people were screaming for her head, but it was
CNN put it all
instigated by
together.
Israel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they had policies like enter policies or whatever it was.
There are so many questions that I don't have answers to that I'm curious about that hopefully we'll all find out one day about what went on there and the fact that
the people
that
should have
kid
responded didn't.
No, and that kid, the FBI office down there had received so many complaints about that kid.
And the
did
other
nothing.
thing is, you remember that was a test bed for the Obama administration's policy about don't send these kids. Don't.
Which came out of Chicago.
Which came out of Chicago, exactly.
Yep.
You remember that whole? We've talked about that on the show too. There was an administrative policy that said, and they wanted to use it as a test bed in a couple of markets, and the instruction was mandated by the feds that if somebody gets in trouble at school, you just kind of mask the problem,
Work on their self-esteem.
pat them on the head, and
because it was African Americans that were
disproportionately being singled out to be thrown out of school.
Well, they incentivized. I think through funding, they incentivized reducing behavioral issues, and what it did is it created a culture of underreporting.
Yeah, if you had a clean sheet, you would get more federal money.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Just like
everybody
with
wanted a
standardized
clean
testing,
sheet.
Such a mess.
Yeah. I mean that was the genesis of I think what really opened people's eyes, and it's about the money.
Yet another pie in the sky. In a perfect world, it works, but that's the problem with the left. Is that's not how the real world works.
Exactly.
You can't guarantee that people are going to have the best of intentions with everything they do.
Yeah.
Especially when there's money tied to it.
Well, since you're here and you're real active in local politics, you maybe give us kind of an overview of what's going on with the Republican Party and anything at the State House. I mean, they're on break now, right? Or recess, whatever it is.
Yeah, that is one of the interesting things about Georgia is 40 days and 40 nights and it's over with the General Assembly. Really, we actually had a meeting last night in Gilmer County. We had our best turnout in 3 or 4 years. I mean, people are starting to, whether it's the national narrative, I think a lot of it is that, or people realize that we got a huge election cycle coming up, and people are starting to get involved. I like to see which way the wind's blowing a lot on the street, gauge interest. And, anecdotal polling is never guaranteed, but it can tell you, which way or what certain people are feeling.
Anecdotal polling is not to be trusted much anymore.
Well, no, but I think getting the vibe of what people on the street are saying is always important. And for example, on the 4th of July, we set up as a fundraising initiative with our county party, Trump hats and 2020 bumper stickers and some yard signs. And we sold, I want to say, 150 hats.
Wow.
Of course, it's 6 hours, and all of our stickers. And I vastly underestimated the enthusiasm that we encountered, and how fired up people are. And it's an off year. I mean, this isn't an election year.
Yeah.
And one quick thing. This little girl came up and bought a hat, right? And she looked at us and she said, "Is it okay if I wear it?" And I'm standing there. I'm, well, of course. I mean, that's what it's for. And her dad came up, and he had given her the money, of course. And he said, "Yeah, you like your hat?" And she looked at her dad and she said, "Are you sure I can wear it?" Like, she was very
apprehensive.
Very much so. And he goes, "Yes, yes." And he went on to tell us that he said, "Well, she lives with her mother in New Jersey."
Oh boy.
And if she were to go home and wear that hat, she would be expelled from school.
Oh my gosh.
And
Do you have any more of those hats?
Yeah, we got plenty.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Red, white, and black. We got a whole array of them.
What were the hats? Did you guys make them up?
No, we ordered them online. The Make America Great Again.
Okay,
just the
so they were
standard,
MAGA hats.
original.
Red and white.
And we had a few of the 2020s. Those went quick.
Mm-hmm.
And and the stickers. I mean, it was just, the enthusiasm was unreal.
As a MAGA supporter, do you guys feel betrayed because Trump came out in the day after his North Carolina rally and said,
Not at all.
and said that he didn't approve of the crowd chanting "Send her back"? You feel betrayed as a MAGA client or MAGA supporter?
I think
it's freedom of speech. People that rallies and whatever can shout whatever they want. I mean,
Breitbart ran with that headline yesterday. Rush was off the chain.
Yes.
I mean, to tell you.
Drudge said, Trump turns on MAGA?
Yeah. That was the headline on Breitbart.
Was it?
Yeah. Trump turns on MAGA.
Give me a break.
Has everything come down with the speaker and all his legislative leave, or is that still going to be brought back up and kind of poke him again and again?
Well, I mean, I think people that want political power are hell-bent on going after him. Right.
Sure.
There's so much to that story, and we only have so long to talk about it. But if you really get into it, there is so much of that story that was not reported. You have people in this circuit, this court system up here,
the judicial circuit,
with speeding tickets, with domestic assault, whatever it may be, runs the gamut, that are sitting on 3 or 4 years that have not gone to trial or had their case settled.
Haven't had their day.
It's jammed. It's so jammed, the way the schedule works, that they cannot adjudicate. I don't know the exact number, and I don't want to be wrong, but it's such a small percentage, and none of them hire David Ralston, Speaker Ralston, as their lawyer.
Yeah.
And when you have a bigger case, that trial is going to take longer. So, if you're the judge, do you want to clear out the jail and all these popcorn charges where you can knock out 25, 30 cases in your 2 weeks that you're allowed per month, or 1 week, whatever it is? Or do you want to do the 2-3 week case that's going to
take
the whole right?
Yeah.
By law or statute, they have to do capital cases. They always go to the top of the heap anyway, don't they?
I'm not completely sure, but
Brian did a really in-depth show one day after we had a meeting with the speaker down at the he did a pretty in-depth show about the and he also had the guy that brought the charges. He had the
FBI guy.
Yeah. He had him. Was that his name? No.
No, that was the national.
Yeah.
It was Derek Somerville.
That's what. Yeah. Thank you. Somerville, right? He had him in studio for what, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
something like that, and they went through the whole thing, and a lot of it was, like you said, it was underreported. People didn't understand actually how the court system worked, about cases that went offline. Automatically goes to the bottom of the docket and has to work its way up through the food chain again.
And let's not pretend that the people crying the moral outrage down under the Gold Dome, some of them from Atlanta, these Atlanta folks that are by no means Mother Teresa, see an opportunity to act on a way to make a power grab and take down someone to enhance their own
their position, their
positions,
powers,
and it's a lot of inside baseball, but I think that what it boils down to.
Believe me, I mean that's replicated all over the place. I mean it's at the federal level too.
It's local level.
The first guy that goes out after that rallying cry was Schumer. Schumer is always going to the well of the Senate and pontificating anyway.
But the congestion you refer to, I mean, it's exactly what's going on with the border.
Right.
Suppose they had 350 judges to handle 1 million cases. I mean, you think about that.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
and that part of the story, and not to mention some of the specific stories that were, they were sold to the public through the story as something that was way more than what actually happened and what the typical sentence may be. It was overblown, and I think that it's silly, quite frankly, to go after the Speaker of the House, who is from the safest district in the entire state. He has our support. He's not going to not be reelected, as far as what I can tell. And for those who say that it's just going to create political division and the Democrats are going to campaign on this in Georgia, I think they should probably pay attention to their own districts. And
are you saying in Fannin-Conning there's not an AOC, like one seat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not here, not yet.
I pray that day never comes. All right. Well, we're about at 9:30. So what I want to do, we didn't get to do this the last time I hosted, so I want to try to make sure to get this in here. But we always do the winners and losers. Of every week. And Richie, do you know what I'm talking about when I say winners and losers?
Yes.
All right. So Bruce, start us off. Give us your winners and losers for this week.
I really don't have any winners. I got nothing but losers. So, this one, Rick and I are both from Chicago. There's a new mayor up there, Lori Lightfoot.
For now.
African woman. She just demanded that the state taxpayers bail out the city. She was looking for $325 million from the state.
She demanded it.
Yeah, from the state of Illinois taxpayers. And of course, there's a huge love-hate relationship between downstate Illinois and the city of Chicago, Cook County. Well, she didn't get it. The governor, who's a liberal Democrat, Jay Pritzker, he said, no, you're not going to get it. So she turns around, and what does she do? She cuts a deal with the Chicago's Teachers Union,
a
5-year contract with a 14% raise.
There you go.
And they're dead broke as it is. I mean, you talk about a loser.
It's not her money.
That's your only one? You said you had a lot of them.
No, I had another one. You might have heard of Colorado State University. They came out with a list of words that you can't use anymore.
Oh my!
It is.
I bet I use half of them on a daily basis.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
In this segment alone.
Yeah. You can't use that because the original song replaces tiger with an offensive word aimed at African Americans. You're supposed to use now randomly selected.
Say what? Say that again?
Randomly selected.
Yeah, the word
tiger?
Instead of eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Randomly selected.
It used to be catch a tiger. We usually say catch a tiger by the. Is it by the toe?
By the toe.
By the toe.
Yeah.
But originally it said something else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The N-word.
The N-word. Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
My.
Well, that's good. That must be generational.
Yeah, long time no see. Originally mocking Native Americans or Chinese. I haven't seen you in a long time.
How?
I mean, there's
Look at that list.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's what happened when people stay in school their entire lives.
Oh, yep. That's exactly what it is.
So
Need to get out and get a job.
Losers. Hope somebody's got some winners.
I do have a winner.
All right.
But I'm going to the loser first. My loser is those 4 twits. I wish I could remember that card that we put up with the tweets and twitters, whatever it was. But it was brilliant.
But you got your wife's thing.
For coming up with this squad.
Oh, yeah, the squad.
The squad.
The squad.
If you don't join the squad, if you don't throw away all your values and support the squad, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a xenophobe.
You're a bigot.
You're a bigot.
Go down the list.
Exactly.
Go down the list of those words right there.
But let me tell you who my winner is. My winner this week is my wife. She responded to David Webb on a Twitter.
Oh wow!
And he said, "Give me the best acronym for squad." You know, acronyms. You know, like NASA, like we talked about on the show.
National Aeronautic and Space Administration.
Well, I got a few others for that one, but anyway, my wife Cindy came up with socialist quacks undermining American democracy.
Wow.
I thought that was brilliant.
That's great.
Socialist quacks undermining American democracy.
Did you come up with that pretty quick too?
10 minutes.
How about that?
Oh my gosh.
I would have never.
I mean, that's why she's my winner of the week. So I mean,
there you go. That's awesome.
I got the other one.
Do you?
Yeah, it's the Clueless Caucus of Twittering Twits.
The Clueless Caucus of Twittering Twits. Now
Yeah, be careful
now
with
that's
that
not. Yeah. Say that fast 3 times, right? That's not an acronym for squad, but Cindy, you're the winner of the week on that one.
Awesome. Richie, how about you?
Well, my loser is kind of in the same vein as what you were talking about. I'm going to go the other way and say Nancy Pelosi because...
Wow, yeah, good.
As we talked about, they immediately started fundraising off this. And, you know, Trump didn't even name names specifically. And my first reaction was, well, you know, there are, I think, 15 progressive Democrats in Congress that weren't born in this country. I don't think a lot of people know that. But they took it the way they wanted to take it for the narrative. Those 4 came out, which, I mean, let's be honest, I'm sure that's who he was talking about. But
yeah, we were not kidding anybody.
They completely overplay their hand, and Trump has a way of creating a contrast. I was just talking with a buddy of mine who, ironically enough, lives in Chicago, who is a progressive Democrat through and through, and he said, what's it going to take for the Republicans to finally abandon Trump? You know, because they're in their bubble up there. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he goes, they're doing all, you know, they're saying this stuff. I said, listen.
You should have said, what's going to take liberal Democrats to embrace Trump?
Right.
For real.
And to that point, I said, he's a master at creating a contrast, whether it be with Kaepernick, you know, either you stand or you don't, or with this, either you support.
There's no middle ground.
Right. And by going to the extremes and creating such a hullabaloo, he's able to create a contrast where people maybe start looking up what AOC has said, or that Omar married her brother, or, you know, that sort of thing. So Pelosi is letting the tail. What is it?
Wag the dog.
Wag the dog.
Can you look on that chart and see if that's allowed? Under
Right.
Colorado State University rules.
As if anybody's going to listen to what Colorado State University says.
And it happened for her. It happened. It kind of sneaks up on them to where, you know, she thought she was in control of the situation, and now it's like she's taking a back seat to them.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, my winner of the week is in District 6 here in Georgia State, Senator Brandon Beach. The fundraising totals from the quarter came in. He outraised the entire field.
Wow.
Especially former Representative Karen Handel, who was viewed as the front runner, but Beach outraised her, and not only that, he outraised her through largely local donations, whereas a lot of Handel stuff
wasn't any outside support.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there are a few that weren't technically in the district, but by far and away, most of his money came from within the district, whereas Handle still has a lot of those DC.
What was the disparity as a percentage? You remember? Was it like was he up like 3 to 1 or?
No, I want to say it was by like $40,000, $50,000.
Okay, that's
but
still a lot of dough for that size district.
considering you're a state senator going against the who was the incumbent only a year ago and had that much national exposure when she ran in the special election, I think it was a major statement.
You know, we got a few seconds here. We got.
Go ahead.
You said something very interesting in your about the name calling and the resorting to that. I'm virtually certain, based on what someone brought to my attention that was on Facebook. There are people in this community, and I think Brian's going to bring it up next week, that have posted some things that are just absolutely off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen some of it.
And
along political lines?
Well, basically against Trump.
Oh, yeah,
like
I
your
see it
buddy
every
in
day.
Chicago saying, when are you people going to, when are you people going to give up on Trump?
Right, but he's. I'll give him this. He is practical guy. I mean,
Yeah. No.
I think he's watching.
Yeah. In that vein, some of the stuff that's coming out is, if you support Trump, you are a racist. You are a homophobe. You are a bigot.
Yep.
Really? Why does that make me a racist because I choose to support the candidate that I want? Do I not have that right? And why are you calling me names for somebody else's belief?
Because they're going to say you support a candidate who holds those beliefs.
But
that's one way they can beat them.
Yeah.
Is to condition them to believe that.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, I mean, they're just pounding people
So
with
far
racist,
off.
bigot, homophobe, misogynist.
Yeah, you had an article in there about what really is racism anymore these days. I think it's evolved into a whole new just catch-all phrase that most people don't even understand what it means.
And what they're doing is in doing so they're damaging. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, but when you start blanketing groups like that, and people who know that, well, that's not true about myself, and then you look at a history book and say, well, how do I know they weren't doing the same thing back then? It does a disservice to actual racism and actual historical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it does a disservice to the real issues that people fought to overturn, and
Exactly.
and it makes.
Yeah, and we move so far away from people being able to say things like that. I mean, everybody's in tribes now. So, the racist thing about Trump saying women of color. Well, excuse me, maybe he just thinks they're total doofuses and they're not doing a good job.
Right.
How about meritocracy? No one talks about that.
Yeah, what does that even mean anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the tactic of the liberal left, though. They don't know the facts. They can't come at you with the facts. So instead, they get bent out of shape and they say, "Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a homophobe." That's what they resort to.
Yeah.
That's what they do across the board. But we're going to wrap up the All-Star Political Panel. Thank you guys so much for being here today, and Richie, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a good discussion.
Yeah, thanks for Doc Whaley staying.
Yep.
staying
Doc
a little
Whaley
extra,
stuck
too.
around for a little while
Big
earlier.
sports weekend, right? Isn't it a big series for the Braves this weekend with the Nats?
Yep.
Yeah, great start last night.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You must not be a Braves fan.
Huge Braves fan.
Oh, okay.
A little sarcasm there.
All right.
The Nationals.
I was gonna say the last time I saw it was like 10-3 or something like that. But anyway,
I think it got
all right.
worse.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we won't get into that. But when we come back, it will be time for North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, from Community Relations Director from Cameron Hall and Ella J. Take us a break, Josh. We'll be right back.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Good morning, everyone, from Circuit World in Blue Ridge. You are watching Good Morning from the Office. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, sitting in for BKP this morning. We just had our all-star political panel, and now we have Jesse Barton with us.
Thanks. They're a tough act to follow. I caught her speechless.
No comment. I'll just say that. But Jesse, you are the Community Relations Director for Cameron Hall and LJ.
Yes.
Always glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I love
Good
this
to see
segment. Good to see you as well. So our topic this week is scams that target our seniors.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
So our seniors are the target of scams almost on a daily basis. That's what I have here.
Yes, they are. Unfortunately, and it's funny because it's been right at a year that I started the show with Brian a year ago, and kind of one of our first topics, he kind of jumped on the scam bandwagon, and we started doing some research. But what happens is these scammers play on the emotions of these seniors.
Right.
And so when emotions come into play, logic kind of goes out the window.
Exactly. And speaking of playing on the emotions, that's one of the top 10 financial scams targeting seniors, and I have those listed here from the National Council on Aging. And so number 1 is Medicare health insurance scams, counterfeit prescription drugs, funeral and cemetery scams, fraudulent anti-aging products, telemarketing phone scams, internet fraud, investment schemes, homeowner reverse mortgage scams, sweepstakes and lottery scams, and then the grandparent scam.
The grandparent scam is huge. And kind of what brought the topic back up this week is, unfortunately, it's not just seniors that get scams anymore. I actually got a call this week, and it was like, I didn't even say, hi, how are you? I could tell it was automated immediately. And it was like, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm from the Vacation Rewards, and I'm in the awards department. Can you hear me okay? And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yes,
this is one of those.
I've heard that, where they try to get you, they say, can you hear me? And they try to get you to say yes, so that they can record that and later on use it and make it sound like you were agreeing to whatever they were offering.
Exactly. And if I'm at the house and doing my housework or something like that, and I pick up the phone and I'm not paying attention, I'm going to hear maybe I wanted a vacation. So there's the emotion. And not really telling, because they're really good, that you can't tell that it's automated.
Exactly.
So I'm going to say yes. So if you get that call, or you have a loved one that gets that call, either hang up, or if you really think it's something, answer in some other way. Say, who's calling, or I can hear you. Don't say yes.
Right.
Because then they've got that recorded, and they're gonna start charging you, and
then you get into all sorts of other mess. And talking about the grandparent scam, I have a story from one time that happened to a family friend of mine. Their grandparents got a call from a young man that sounded like their grandson, and they were asking for money. He was saying, "I'm in jail. I need money," and had another man with him that was pretending to be the lawyer or whoever, and they were trying to get them to send them money to an account and everything. And fortunately, they had their son there with them, so my friend's uncle, who said, okay, this is not normal.
Right.
And they talked, the thing was that they talked to him for a while, because the uncle was like, okay, I'm going to see how long they'll go and see how much more they'll say. And at one point, the reason that they knew that it wasn't right, that it was a scam, was because obviously, something was off. And then also, when they handed the phone back to the granddad, the guy pretending to be my friend called him granddad, and they never call him granddad, they call him papa. So he knew that there was something not right. And so it's just that they're good, they're really good, but there's also that little thing that you can keep an eye out for to know that it's false, it's a scam.
Well, unfortunately for your friend and his grandparents, there was somebody there.
Exactly.
And that's where that logic goes out. I had friends that it happened to their parents, and same situation. The grandson, they only had 2 grandsons, and this one called and said, sounded like the grandson, said he had been in an accident and he hurt somebody, and it was a foreign dignitary. And so, most of us may be sitting here thinking, gosh, that just sounds
a foreign dignitary. Like, what are the odds? Yeah.
Right. So, but if you think about, unfortunately, with some of our seniors, memory loss does set in, confusion does set in, and so they hit that emotion immediately, and they said, "You're the only person I can call. I can't call my parents." Oh, the grandparent feels, my grandchild's coming to me needing. Logic is gone.
Exactly.
They hear foreign dignitary, most logic would kick in, their logic's gone. And so unfortunately, my friend's parents went and transferred $5,000 or $6,000 to this account. So
did they end up getting it back?
They did not. They filed the police report.
Oh my
but
gosh.
It was somebody overseas.
And at that point, it's like, what can you do?
You can't.
Exactly.
So, gosh. And the way that they stopped it is the other grandson showed up one day when they were trying to go to the bank, and he's like, I gotta go, I've got to take care, and he let it slip, I gotta take care of this other grandson, and he's like, what's going on? And it didn't register with the grandfather to call and say, hey, is he okay? That didn't register. He just knew he was in trouble.
Exactly. And it's like you said, that emotion and that logic kicks in. And well, are there any sort of do y'all offer classes, or do you talk to the seniors that are living at Cameron Hall and say hey, this is a thing? Or
we do, and we've actually got one little resident that they'll mail these lottery scams in, or they'll mail these things saying, hey, send a donation to such and such group, and she will write a letter saying, how dare you prey on poor seniors who can't afford, and she'll stick it back in the mail, so they've lost their money on the mailing, and it's funny the way she does that.
But she's gonna get them back a little bit, isn't she?
Yes. So one of the things that I like to try to do is for our community is go to our local financial institutions, help educate the tellers and the customer service reps. If you've got somebody coming in and they are acting funny about how they're cashing their check or they're withdrawing really large amounts, that's a
good idea.
Given the tellers and the customer service people the awareness that these things are happening, because if you're my financial person, I'm going to trust you usually. There are instances where they get mad at the person at their bank and it's none of their business and how dare they say anything. But the other thing, I've got a friend who works in Home Depot corporate. If you're a cashier at one of these large stores like Target or Home Depot or Lowe's, and you've got somebody coming in buying thousands of dollars of gift cards, maybe pull them aside, get the manager over there and see if there's something, because a lot of times they want you to send gift cards because then it's not trackable.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah, it's little things like that you can just kind of keep an eye out for, and especially talking about the bank tellers. I mean, that's a great way, because it's a lot of times as humans, we have that little alarm that goes off in the back of our head that's like, okay, something's not right. And especially when it's an elderly person that comes in, maybe seems confused or seems wants to do it quick, seems in a hurry, like you said with your friend. The granddad was, frazzled, wanted to exactly.
Wow. Sending wires to, foreign countries will raise a red flag. So if you are in the financial industry or you have a loved one that says they've got to go send a wire, dig into it a little deeper.
Right, because more than likely it's not legit. It's not something that's,
And unfortunately, we can sit here and say, gosh, if somebody sent me a letter saying, hey, if you send me $5,000, I'll send you $10,000. There's...
What?
There's no logic in that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's super easy for the seniors to do. So
wow. Well, yeah. And that's why we have this segment, so we can talk about these things and our viewers know about it, and they can pass it on to people that they love and that they know, and we can get that information out.
Absolutely. If you're if you're with something in the North Georgia area and you have speakers that come in to talk to your group, I have a great resource who is in law enforcement. He used to be on the senior living side of things, and so he can talk about fraud and preventing these things happening. So we'd love to be that resource for you.
Oh, great. And before we go, we're running a little bit out of time, but I do always like to ask when we have this segment, what else do y'all have going on over at Cameron Hall?
So it's been kind of quiet. We've had lots of activities going on. We do have somebody coming in next week to talk about the Trail of Tears and do a history presentation. We've started showing documentaries because we had folks coming in saying, I don't want to watch movies, I want to keep learning.
Oh,
so
great.
how awesome is that?
That's great.
They want to keep, pouring knowledge into themselves. So lots of new residents moving in. It's a busy time of year for move-ins. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like
stuff.
a lot going on over there, and I love that they're saying, we're tired of watching just entertainment. We want to keep learning, and that's how you keep living and you keep going, is by continuing to have that purpose and by wanting to continue to learn. So
absolutely,
I'm glad to hear that. Sounds like there's a lot going on over there.
We have fun.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much again, Jessie Barton, Community Relations Director over at Cameron Hall LJ. This has been our North Georgia Senior Living segment, and of course we will put this on YouTube afterwards, so you can go and watch it. Fetch Your News, FYN TV. Definitely go give this segment and all of our other segments a look. And we're going to go ahead and head on out. I have been Lauren Hunter, your host, sitting in for BKP. BKP, we hope everything is going well with you. And we will be back next week, same time, hopefully back over at Sycamore Crossing. We've been here at Circuit World today. We love and appreciate Circuit World for letting us have our show here. And we will be back same time next week, back over at Sycamore Crossing. I'm Lauren Hunter. Don't forget to watch my show Monday mornings at 10:10 a.m. on our Facebook page, Team FYN Sports Live, North Georgia's only online live sports show. We'll be talking about a lot of local sports that have been happening this week, coming out of the dead week. Football season is in full swing, and so we will be there on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take us out, Josh.